Welcome to Negro Please. I'm Dallas Scott, Hollywood Huff, Quan the producer. Still not a whole lot going on inside the world except for this thing called coronavirus. I was a little excited to see that NFL free agency is still going on and people are getting signed.
Yeah.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be an 8-8 team with Tom Brady. Maybe 9-7, 7-9. I don't know how much Tom Brady has left. How old is he now? 42? 41? 43?
43? 40, his low 40s.
Yeah.
His early 40s.
Like, how many more hits can he take, right? Like, yes, the Buccaneers have more weapons than the Patriots had last year.
Yeah.
And I love Bruce Arians as a coach. I felt like Tom Brady couldn't, like, he's got some good receivers now, but I felt like last year he couldn't get the ball downfield when he had guys open. And when you have speedy receivers, I don't know, like, you got to be able to get the ball to him. If you can't get the ball to him, and who's their slot receiver? Like, who's their real slot receiver for Tampa Bay? Exactly. See, nobody knows.
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know.
Nobody knows.
It's hard. It's still so hard to bet against Tom Brady. Like, I don't know if Brady was what the Bucs were missing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if it was a quarterback.
You had a guy who threw 30
problem.
touchdowns last year. I mean, he did throw 30 interceptions, but he threw 30 touchdowns last year.
He was balanced.
You think Tom Brady could throw 30 touchdowns this year?
Ooh.
At his age? I think he'd be the oldest quarterback to do that.
16 games. Can he throw two touchdowns a game?
I say no.
You don't think so?
No.
Man.
How many guys in the league throw 30 touchdowns a year?
I don't know. That's a Googleable question.
Yeah. Are you Googling it now?
I am.
No, it's low. Like, I think like 25 is a lot of touchdowns in a year.
Yeah.
Like, if you look up last year's stats, it's I think the only person that threw 30 touchdowns last year was Jameis Winston. I might be missing somebody. I'm trying to think, like, who had a big year. Like, I'm just saying like a lot because I know it annoys.
It's funny. I looked that up. 30 touchdowns. And all you're getting is Jameis Winston. You're not seeing a whole bunch of like. Okay, so single season leaders. Let's look at that.
Okay,
all right.
yeah.
So single season leading in touchdowns. So Peyton Manning threw 55 TDs 1 year.
1 year, right?
Tom Brady threw 50 1 year.
Yep.
That was 2007.
Yep.
So let me just scroll down to like the bottom of the list is Aaron Rodgers at 39. So here's like,
but those are their best years.
Yeah, but then even so, look at who these QBs are: Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning, Dan Marino, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Dan Marino, Drew Brees, Matthew Stafford. Wow.
No, well, when Matthew Stafford had Burles and Megatron,
2011,
and all those guys,
he
had a squad.
I was just like, hold up, wait a minute. All right, Kurt Warner, 41.
Yep.
Now think about how good Kurt Warner was with the Greatest Show on Turf in 1999. Yep. He only threw 41 touchdowns.
Yeah.
They also had a running back to run a bunch in, but still.
I'm curious if Russell Wilson has ever thrown 30 touchdowns.
I don't know. Let's see this list. Let me see. Let me look at more. A bunch of the same names. We got Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, Matt Ryan through 38.
Yeah, he had one good year.
Steve Berline through 36 in 1999 with Carolina. Lamar Jackson 36 2019. Tony Romo 36 2007.
So last year 3 quarterbacks threw 30 touchdowns, right? Mahomes
probably last year, yeah.
Mahomes, Jameis Winston,
looking in 2019.
Lamar Jackson.
Russell Wilson threw 35 back in 2018.
Yeah.
And
that's the most he's ever thrown. So like,
yeah, he threw 34 in 2 seasons. Yeah, it looks like he's had 3 seasons over 30. The rest, I don't see him coming up again unless he threw exactly 30. Nope.
Yeah. See.
So yeah. So
throwing 30 touchdowns.
He threw another one with 31. My bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, but not a lot. Not a lot. It's mostly the same guys. And actually, the funny thing is, Tom Brady is not on this list, reoccurring multiple times.
He's only there one
time. I believe
time.
Tom Brady was like number 2. He threw 50 one season. That was in 2007. Is that the year they got caught cheating? That's the year they went undefeated. and then they
They've been
then they
caught
found out the
cheating so many
next year
things.
that they were videotaping people and stuff.
By the way, speaking of that, like whatever happened to their last cheating scandal? Like it just got blown
It
under the
just
rug.
disappeared. Yeah,
Like they were cheating. They were doing the same thing they did with the Jets with the Bengals, and it just kind of faded away, and nobody ever talks about it anymore.
yeah. So Tom Brady is on here like he's
And-
on here like
and
four or five
Four
times.
quarterbacks had 30 or more last year.
Who it was?
Four
Mahomes.
quarterbacks?
Lamar Jackson had 36, Jameis had 33, Russell Wilson had 31, and Dak had 30.
Oh,
Dak?
He had more than. Oh, Mahomes missed 3 games, right?
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
Like so, yeah. So even with Tom Brady being on here, it's not like he's on here as much as some of the other QBs. And then it's also kind of like just throughout, the
Sporadically
year.
throughout
Yeah,
his career.
sporadically.
not.
So
And how many of those? None of those guys were over 40 when they did that, right?
nah.
So like a 40-year-old quarterback. I mean, he won't throw 30 interceptions this year like Jameis did, but they needed 30 touchdowns to get to where they were going. I just don't see them doing that.
Yeah. Eh.
All right, so that was fun. Something non-corona related.
Right. Is there anything else not
But
related?
Tom
to
Brady
her?
threw 24 without any receivers, without Gronk last year. So I mean, if he had 24 with no weapons, what can he do next year with weapons? I think he could hit 30.
You think he could hit 30?
Yeah.
I'll take the under. And it's not because of the weapons. I just feel like he's a year older, and I just like every year older you get, you lose 1.5 yards on your long ball.
But he's going from cold weather to warm weather, which is going to be a big difference in an older body.
I think you're banking like that at some point age has to catch up with him,
Right.
right? Yeah, at some point he has to be too old to be a QB, and this should probably be the year. I mean,
But-
I think I have to.
I'm trying to decide if I buy the cold weather. Like when you go to something you've never known before, like he hasn't had to play in the humidity of Tampa for an entire season.
Yeah, but the humidity's not really there during football season.
Have you ever been to Florida?
Yeah, it's not September through December. It's not the same humidity as.
It ain't the same, but it's there.
It's not the same as July and August,
Yeah.
but it's like it's
But
brutal.
oh, yeah,
like
it's there.
I used to
But
when I
it's still
lived in
nice.
Florida.
It's warm. It's not. I mean, he's playing in cold, and cold on your bones is never good.
I mean, I'll say that I would, if I had to pick, I'm definitely picking Tampa. I don't think the humidity is as much of a factor. I think it's there, but I don't think the humidity will be as much of a factor as the cold weather being a factor. You know what I mean? Especially he's 42-year-old.
he picked Tampa
Tom
for a
Brady.
reason.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't
I'm-
just because they had good players, but it was.
I
the
really
combination
thought he
of
would
that.
have went closer to home and went to L.A. I mean that's like the perfect weather, right? Not a lot of humidity. It's always going to be 75, 80 degrees. It like I really thought he would have went to.
But
San
I think
Diego.
that was the deciding factor. It's like you have 2 warm weather places. Who has a better opportunity for me to be in warm weather, chill for my last couple years, and still win?
San Diego's got weapons.
Not the same.
You don't think so?
Not the same as Tampa.
I think San
Tampa
Diego
has
has
a way better defense too. I think.
So is Tom Brady automatically starting over Jameis Winston?
Jameis
Jameis
Winston
got cut.
He's not on
He
the
got
team
cut?
anymore. Yeah.
Man,
Well, he was a free agent. They just didn't resign him.
Oh, okay. I was gonna
He's a
say,
free agent.
I
They just didn't resign him.
man, I've been in my cave.
Yeah,
too long.
Cam got cut.
Cam got cut, which is really the funny thing is, right? They were trying to trade him, and nobody would take the trade because they knew they were going to cut him anyway.
So you don't put him up. You don't cut him right away.
Right.
You knew you were going to cut him.
Right.
You don't cut him because then if you cut him, he could sign to one of these teams in your division that needs
Right.
a quarterback, and you let them sign other quarterbacks first, and then you cut him. So they pretty much did him kind of dirty.
Of course. I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to be a good quarterback for them. They got rid of Kyle Allen too, who was their backup last year, and he had a couple good games. But I know you have a new coach and you're going to put in a new system and everything. But they just kind of did both those quarterbacks dirty.
They probably didn't want to pay him though because he did have a good year for a backup.
But he's still under his regular contract. Like they could have made it. He could have waited one more year.
Yeah.
He's still on that rookie contract. They could have made him wait one more year.
Yeah.
There's so much foolishness out here with this coronavirus, and we've seen a lot of it. I just don't even know where to start. I'm gonna start with the steam. Have you heard about the steam?
Oh my God.
People seem to think that all you have to do to kill coronavirus is get steam at 135 degrees and then inhale the steam. First of all, do you know how hot 135 degrees is? You're going to burn the hell out of your face.
Yeah, you are.
And somebody told me, they were like, you don't get burned in Las Vegas when it's 120 degrees. I was like, have you ever touched metal in Las Vegas when it's 120 degrees?
Right.
You ever walked out to your car and like touch the hood?
Do you just stand there and put your nose toward the sun and start inhaling when it's 120 degrees? No.
Cover your mouth when you cough.
I was laughing. It wasn't like,
well, it came out as a cough. Cover your laugh. Corona season. Cover
Stop
your
laughing.
oh.
You know where that started though? It was a video, and even I shared this video. Somebody sent it to me. It was a doctor who was explaining.
So you're perpetuating the rumor.
I did not. No. I did not perpetuate it. These people they did some ghetto version of it and start. This is the same way like stories travel, right? Like I tell you, hey man, I'm getting $50 in the mail next week, and then you go tell somebody, hey man, I heard Steve getting $50. Well, 10 people later, it's like, man, Steve won the lottery, and it's like, you know what I mean? This is how stories travel. So in the video, it's a doctor, and he's basically explaining what coronavirus is, right? And then how you kill it. And the way that he explained it, he puts it in layman's terms, and he's like, look, this video does not thrive in heat. So anything above, the virus does not thrive in heat. So heat kills the virus, and I forget the exact temperature, but for the sake of argument, let's say it was 130 degrees, right? So he's saying, if you can simply get this virus up to 130 degrees, in your respiratory system, which is basically in your nose and your face, right? It's inside of your face. So if you can get that area up to that temperature for 15 minutes, the disease will be dead and you'll be fine, right? Easy to do when the disease is on the surface or disease is outside or something like that, right? It's just floating around. You can set it on fire. You can heat something up. But when it's inside your body, they give at the end of the video this short explanation on how to basically heat up yourself. And what they did in the video was they took a blow dryer and I think like a wet towel or something. It was something weird. I didn't even watch all of it because I'm like, I'm not about to blow a dryer in my face. I'm going to the hospital if I get sick. You know what I mean? But they end up blowing like a blow dryer up their nose. And it's like, do this for 15 minutes. The heat from the blow dryer and whatever should kill the virus because the temperature would reach that high. I don't use a blow dryer a lot. A lot of women do. Also, women take showers at like 7,000 degrees. So I think a blow dryer is too hot. I've used one a few times in my life. Back when I used to have an afro, I blew it out a few times. I had dreads. I used to use a blow dryer to dry my hair. I hated it because I feel like it's too hot. I hate
Did you use a hot comb to get you a nice little press?
Yeah, man. Back when I had the fro, I combed it a few times. But I think like I get the point that the doctor is making, that look, 130 or 125, whatever the temperature is, will kill this disease. People trying to inhale steam, I don't know if you can even, if they're even boiling water. And like, I don't even know if you could get your face close enough so that when you inhale the steam, it's 100 and some odd degrees as it goes through your body. You know what I mean? Because it's not like it just hits your nose and it has to go into your face. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
but I want people to think about this, right? If this actually worked, people wouldn't die from this. Because doctors would just set up tea kettles in hospitals, and they would just have everybody like walk the Soul Train line in front of all these tea kettles, and like if
the quarantine would have lasted one day because they would have made it an emergency. Go in the house, boil some water, and everybody stick your face over.
We'd be seeing this all over the news, right?
Yeah, right.
I don't care what people say. Doctors are not involved in conspiracy theories. They take a Hippocratic oath, and there's 3 words like. I was engaged to a nurse practitioner. I know a lot of doctors. There's 3 words in that oath that they all take incredibly seriously, and it's do no harm.
Right.
And that means they do everything they can, A, to not worsen the situation, and B, to save lives.
Right.
If doctors thought this actually would work, there'd be doctors all over the world talking about, hey, this is how you cure it. We have 1,000 deaths as of this morning in the United States.
Yeah.
New York got over 10,000 cases, 12,000 cases now of coronavirus.
Right.
Andrew Cuomo wouldn't have been on TV yesterday screaming and ranting and raving about getting ventilators if you could just kill this with some steam.
Right.
Let's talk about Governor Cuomo. First of all, I think if he ran as
real quick though, there are ways to help it not get as bad as it can. So,
right.
Hot tea. A doctor sent me this yesterday. Hot tea will definitely help. So if you get it,
right,
and you don't know you have it for 2 weeks, if you're drinking hot tea every day, when it finally does mutate as much as it does, it's not going to affect it
opens
as
up
much.
Your lungs.
Exactly,
right,
because
you have to have your lungs up.
We do know it's a respiratory infection.
Right.
So there are things you can do to help make it that if you get it, it's not going to affect you to where you even have to go to the hospital.
Right.
It doesn't mean you won't get it, and it doesn't mean you can't pass it to
somebody
elderly
else.
people or people with underlying conditions, which there's not one person I've seen that died that wasn't old or had underlying conditions.
Yeah, they were young people, but they had the soccer coach was 21, but he had been fighting lupus, which has to do with respiratory and stuff
so
like that.
there was a lot of stuff. But there are things you can do for yourself that if you do get it, that it's not going to affect you. And you can be like the NBA players that get it, and Sean Payton, they get it, and a week later they're fine.
Right.
So
Carrie thinks that Cuomo talks too much. First of all, I'm not giving you credit because you spelled the man's name wrong in the so you just lose all validity right there.
When you spell his name wrong?
Yeah. It's crazy, right? Because we watch TV, and I actually had to call a friend of mine who's a doctor over at Spring Valley Hospital here. And I was like, so my ex worked in the ICU.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because we watch TV, right? And there are things on TV that used to just drive her insane, like on House and Grey's Anatomy. Like, she would watch the shows, but she was just like, first of all, we don't shock people for that. And it's things like we don't notice. Like, why does every heart monitor in the back always have the same heart rate? Yeah, and she's like, it's not even a bad heart rate. But they always all have the same heart rate. And I asked him, I was like, how many ventilators do you have? And I think he said 6 or 7, which is crazy because every time you watch TV, right, they're like, put him on the ventilator.
Yeah.
So you just think that ventilators are like these readily available things.
Well, here's the thing. Like, under normal circumstances, they are.
Right.
Like, the reason the hospital only had 6 or 7, because that was more than enough. You know what I mean? Like you'd have to think the amount of hospitals in a city is in direct proportion to the population, right? So the amount of rooms and the size of these hospitals is based on the population of that city.
And generally, X amount of people out of every 1,000 will need a respirator. So we need to have X amount of respirators in the city. But when you get a disease like this or a virus like this, that exponentiates by 100 or 1,000.
And this is why the stay at home, the lockdowns, the quarantines, this is why this is so important. Because now that hospital has 6 or 7 ventilators, right? And that's for all situations. It's not like, oh, you got coronavirus, oh, you get to go ahead of the other guy whose lung is falling out. Like, he was here first. It's still first come, first serve, or most immediate need is how most hospitals operate, right? So if you go in with the headache, but somebody comes in with a bullet hole, they're going to get treated first, unless they think your head is literally about to explode in the next 10 minutes. You know what I mean?
I personally think that if somebody threw some money behind Cuomo and he ran as an independent, he would win the presidential election this year.
It's possible.
I feel like if there was enough money behind him and push, that he would be the new president of the United States.
We vote for weird things, man, and it seems like we tend to vote for the president who we feel like cares about us the most.
And you feel like he cares about New York.
Right, yeah.
You feel like he cares about New York. And he's fiery, right?
Yeah.
He's upset. And one of the reasons he's upset is he said they only have 400 ventilators. And they needed more, and they couldn't get more. Who was the governor of New Hampshire? We looked it up earlier.
Sununu? Chris Sununu. Okay. I think that's right. Sununu.
So last week, Chris Sununu, he called out President Trump because Trump told them, you guys need to go and buy supplies at the state level. You need to go and get ventilators and all this stuff. So New Hampshire went to try and buy ventilators and all this medical equipment. The problem was the state got outbid by the federal government. So I'm telling you, Steve, you need to go over there and bid on that car.
Right.
And you're going to bid what you think you can afford, but I got more money than you. But even though I told you to go bid on the car, I'm just going to outbid you because I can.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take that car for myself. So and then Trump's response was, well, yeah, we have more buying power than the states. Then why would you tell the states to do this anyway? Right? Yeah. Why aren't you then, as the federal government, the leader of this country, the president, why are you undercutting the states that need this equipment right now and then hoarding it on the federal level? Now, they've said that they're going to send New York 4,000. Like they sent 2,000 yesterday. I think by Friday they'll have a total of 4,000 respirators.
Right.
But why does the federal government have those anyway? Like if you told the states to go get them, and if you do have them, why aren't they already distributed?
Yeah. They should be being distributed like
right
immediately.
Now. Right.
Yeah, we don't have time to wait.
And it should be based on need, I guess. Like New York should get a bunch of them because now
they said over half the cases, I believe, either over half or close to half. So don't quote me, but close to half, I'll say, is in New York of the cases that are in America. Like that's how bad New York is. Which, if you look at how New York is set up, where everything's on top of everything, that makes sense.
Fauci, I love this guy too. I feel bad. I used to think the worst job in America was the Liberty tax people who had to stand out there on the corner and twirl the sign. No, the worst job in the world is Fauci's job right now.
Yeah.
And the reason Fauci's job is the worst job in the world is because he has to stand behind a guy who has no idea what he's talking about. And it just starts spouting off numbers and stats that make no sense to anybody but him. Yeah. He's telling you about cures that we don't even know work or exist yet.
Yeah.
And then Fauci's got to come up behind him and be like, whoa. No, that's not quite right. We don't know that. We don't know that that's going to work. We're working on that right now. We don't have definitive answers, right? And Trump is over there giving definitive answers like, no, this is going to work. And the guy who's a doctor of infectious diseases, which coronavirus is like, no, that's not true. They even had a day where he didn't even come out because Trump was so mad because he kept contradicting him.
Yeah, so
this guy's got the worst job. I feel bad for him.
I was reading about Dr. Fauci, and I understand his frustration. So what you have is left brain and right brain people. Like one side of the brain is very artistic, it's creative, it controls all of your artistic, or creative imagination, all those things. The other side of your brain is the math side, right? The logical side. 1 + 1 is 2. This is what it is. The sky is blue. There's no other, anything to art. There's no argument about it, right? So most people operate with either using all of one side, all the other side, or a combination of both. But in everybody, one side is more dominant than the other. I studied this for a really long time and learning how to teach people. Fauci is very mathematical, which he is supposed to be in his position. His brain, or at least the way he has to put out to us, is very functional. He has to give us factual information 100% of the time. He can't misspeak like I do all the time. He can't say, the wrong word. He has to say everything right.
He's already looked up the stats. He already knows,
and he knows them like 100%, right? Trump doesn't have to know them, and he doesn't. Trump is a very obviously creative person. He creates to the point that people call him a liar, right? So he uses his creative side of the brain. So the worst thing for a mathematical person like Dr. Fauci is to have to stand behind your superior in Donald Trump and hear him spout off what he feels like should be instead of what actually is, right?
Right.
So Dr. Fauci, I read there was a question and answer session. And Dr. Fauci was basically saying that, look, he knows how a lot of people feel about Trump. That's not important right now. What's important is the facts. He said when he talks to Trump, Trump listens. Trump actually is taking in the information. He said, however, he's not sure if, and I don't want to misquote him, but he was kind of saying he's not sure if he forgets the information or if he just thinks he's putting it in a better way for people to hear. But a lot of times what they talk about and what Trump says, it's not that Trump is wrong. It's just not the actual fact. And you know what I mean? And
he gives partial information and doesn't give all the information.
So, and in a time like this, partial information for some people who watch, instead of going, there's a lot of people who listen to the president instead of listening to their doctor.
Right.
So when Trump says, oh, go take some Tylenol and lay down, people think oh yeah, it's not that bad. We can just go take Tylenol and lay down. It's no, He didn't mean that literally. And even if he did, he's not a doctor. Like, listen to the doctors here. So
there's a guy in Phoenix who's dead right now.
right.
And his wife is in critical condition in the hospital because Donald Trump got on TV last week and said you could take chloroquine for this and it would cure coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem. It's when you give people partial information.
Right.
There are several different versions of chloroquine. And Donald Trump was specifically speaking. He didn't say this, though.
Yeah.
He was specifically speaking of hydroxychloroquine. And again, we're not doctors. You guys, please listen. Like, don't go try this at home.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't take anything we're talking about here.
This is just, we're just
Go talk to your
relaying
doctor.
a story, the facts of a story.
Right.
Well, these people looked up chloroquine and realized that they had some chloroquine phosphate in their house.
Mm-hmm.
Chloroquine, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, is used to help clean fish tanks. They took this. The husband died. The wife is in critical condition.
Mm-hmm.
Because he only said chloroquine. And people like, and hydroxychloroquine might work. And again, there's no FDA proof about this. Even Fauci came on afterwards and was like, we don't know this yet.
Yeah.
We're working on it. It may work. And the reason it may work is because it's used in lupus and malaria, and it treats similar symptoms in those diseases as that they have in the coronavirus 19.
Right.
So it's possible that they may find out, but there's no testing to prove that this drug works. But when you give people half information,
mm-hmm.
this is what happens. And they had interviewed a doctor in New Hampshire, Maine last night on the news also, who said he's like had more prescriptions for this than he's ever seen. Like, it's not something that's readily in stock.
Right.
It's not like acetaminophen, like amoxicillin and penicillin and Viagra, something that everybody uses all the time. They just keep in stock. So he's like, I'm running out because people are jumping on this. And again, there's no proof that this will work.
Right.
Can it help with symptoms? Maybe. Does it treat symptoms that are similar to coronavirus and other diseases? Yes.
Right.
But there's no factual basis that this is actually a thing that's going to work. But Trump got on TV last week and said chloroquine, and that's why this lady said they tried it and they looked it up and they didn't get the right one. And now,
and this is the thing too. You have to understand it. Like, so many drugs have names that are so similar.
Oh, it's crazy.
And it's like you change 3 letters or you put one word in front of another word, and it sounds just like some other drug you're taking. So go to your doctor. Go see a doctor. Stop trying to be a doctor yourself. Look, we're not at the stage of The Walking Dead where you have to break into pharmacy and steal something and hope it works. You can still go see a real doctor to get real medicine. Don't order stuff off the internet and take it at home trying to cure yourself of this virus. The only thing that could happen is you can make it worse. I highly doubt it gets better.
All right, we have a caller who's on the line.
Don't order stuff off the internet and take it at home trying to cure yourself.
You got to turn. Whoever's listening's got to turn. You got to turn the volume down.
I gotcha. I just thought about that. I was like, oh shoot.
Who's this?
What's up, Bert? This is Lori Trotter. Ray.
Hi, Lori. How are you doing?
I'm good.
What can
How
we
you
do for
guys
you today?
doing?
We're good.
Another, I just called. Yeah, you know what? I'm just I just
Gotta
called to
turn the
say,
radio
it is. I just called to say, we have to really keep our mental sanity right now. Like today, I went out and went for a hike. Like, you don't have to be around people. You can still respect don't flock to the places where people are, but you got to keep your mental sanity. I was with my friend today and she was feeling kind of blue, and I was like, we got to do something, like get out. And, because so many people usually have their lives in a certain order, where we get up and do things, and, it makes you really just appreciate, your jobs and everything that you have instead of us complaining all the time. We still have to be grateful and thankful, and we have to keep that mindset of being grateful and thankful, and we can shift the atmosphere. I love God with all my heart, and I think that we can too shift the atmosphere, and we have to start singing praises to God and know that He's going to get us through this. And we got to stay hopeful, and really, I think we just got to throw our hands up and just give it to Him and know that He's going to take care of it all.
Hey, thanks for calling in, Lori. It's crazy, right? Because there are things that like we take for granted every day, like a job you don't like.
Yeah.
You have a job you don't like, and there's people in that job you don't like, but you've been at home with the kids for what are we on, like day 12 right now or something like that? You would just be happy to go see Karen, right?
Bruh, let me tell you something, man. Like, the minute she said she went outside, I was thinking, this is the first time I've been outside in a while.
Yeah, right.
I mean, man, just like you said, like, as much as I've been like, man, I'm moving on. I'm getting rid of these jobs. Like, I'll do anything right now. Let's just like, can I just go to work one day?
Right.
Like, just let me just go to work. Like, I don't even know what I'm gonna do there. Just let me do something to be out of the house. When
I was when my kids were younger, like I got laid off from a radio gig, and it's crazy because there was a point where I just wanted to have an adult conversation with somebody, right? Because I'm at home with the kids all day, and it's don't do this, don't do that. Daddy, make me lunch. Daddy, can we do this? Daddy, let's play this game with me. And at some point, you're just like, can I just have a conversation with the? Can we talk basketball? Let's talk NBA. Let's talk anything like that that could be considered adult conversation. So Carrie's on here, right? And this is what I'm talking about, misinformation. She says there are a lot of things happening, like CDC isn't acknowledged that a lot of people are not smelling or tasting things. Another thing is red around the eyes, not the whites of the eyes, around the eyeshadow. Like, where do people get this information from? Stop saying, my friend told me on Facebook or any other part in social media. If you cannot name the source, you're full of shit.
Yeah. I think it is very important because we were looking at symptoms and stuff because regular life still goes on, right? In Vegas, it's kind of spring, so it's getting a little warm. Yep. And this is a lot of time people get sick because they prematurely, like I do, turn the heat off and open up the windows and the doors. And then we fall asleep
bad here right now.
Allergy season. We forget, I fall asleep, and all of a sudden it's like 62 degrees at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we're freezing, and the kids wake up with sniffling noses. And even myself, as you can probably tell a little bit, but like my daughter yesterday and the day before, she was coughing a little bit and she sneezed a few times. And of course, with all this going on, the first thought is like, coronavirus. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on, right? But then you have to think, well, it's allergy season. There are just things floating around that make you sneeze and cough, right?
Every day I look in my car. It's really weird because like I don't have any trees in my neighborhood, but I do have a lot of bushes.
Yeah.
It's covered with pollen when I walk out there.
Yeah.
And as soon as I walk out to my car, I start sneezing or hacking up and coughing. Not because I'm sick, but because like I can't do nothing but inhale a mouthful of hot pollen every time I walk to my car.
Right.
And when it's times like this, it compounds the issue, right? Because people who would normally be like, "Oh, it's just my allergies kicking in," are now mentally freaking out that, "Oh my God, I might have the virus."
Yeah.
But if we weren't in this place right now, when this happened to you last year, you weren't thinking, "Oh my God, I got the virus." You were thinking, "Oh, my allergies are kicking up. I got to go get some Claritin or whatever it is you take for your."
And see that, and that's what I look at. And you have the shirt on today, but that's where a lot of times we have to stop and think. And when you hear people say like faith over fear, that's what I think about. There are some people who have such a wild amount of faith that they use zero wisdom and they just go about, endangering everybody. But hold
on. We have to preface this before you say this, that all three of us here are church-going folks. Like we're God-fearing people. Like, so this is not an anti-Christian rant. Like, this is not like, because we're like, "Oh, you just don't believe." No, I believe nothing could be further from the truth from the three of us sitting here, right?
Yeah, we all definitely believe in God, go to church. You know what I mean? So it's not.
My dad's a preacher.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not that we hate God or we're mad about like church people or anything like that. And this is not even really just directed at church people, but just people in general. A lot of people are pushing this big like faith over fear, and have faith 100%. Don't be fearful. Just because you sneeze doesn't mean you're about to die and need to go to the hospital, right? But also, pay attention to the guidelines. Like pay attention to what you're supposed to be doing. Cover your mouth. Wash your hands regularly. Wash your clothes now. Like some of the things you did before this outbreak, you can't do anymore. Like sometimes you wear a shirt, right? You go to Walmart. Like I did this the other day. So perfect example of what I'm talking about. Normally, if I know I'm off that day and I just have to go to the store and I go in the morning, I get dressed. I go to that store. I do what I got to do. I come home. I might leave my clothes on. I might take them off. I might just kind of lay them over the bed. They're still clean. I haven't done anything in them. I just went to Walmart for an hour, right? I might wear those clothes 2 days later or a day later or whatever, but I'll just leave them there. Now, because of this, because I went to Walmart, because this virus can stay on your clothes for, I believe, up to 24 hours. Don't quote me, but they can stay on your clothes an amount of time.
Because
when I come home, I'm putting it right. Yeah, the information is changing like day to day, but I do know the virus can get into your clothes, right? So I come home now, those clothes go into the dirty clothes hamper, right? I'm not going to wear them again until I wash them. As soon as I come in the house, if I have bags, I put those bags down. I go wash my hands, wash my face, dry them off. Then I go put the groceries away. So there are some things I'm doing differently. It's not about me being fearful or about being afraid. It's about being smart. If this disease
but
can
we know
live,
that common sense isn't common.
Right. Very true. Right. So let's use some common sense. And I do believe, look, God is still in control. I still have my faith. I am not fearful, but I'm also not stupid. Like I believe God will protect me, but I still put my seatbelt on. Right. You understand what I'm saying? Like we have to still use common sense. We have
God
to still
will help
do
those who help themselves.
Right. We have to still do the things that the doctors and the people who, according to most Christians, who God appointed and put into these offices, right? They're giving us instructions. Follow the instructions.
Follow the instructions of the experts.
Right. Experts.
Yes, the experts.
Experts.
Donald Trump is not an expert on viral diseases. And
yeah.
I'm sure, and he has such great people around him. Fauci, I mean, everything I've Googled on this guy, this man is like pure genius. Like he's probably the only person who was appointed to a position in Trump's staff that actually is worthy of the position he was appointed to.
Yeah, this isn't, my brother-in-law is now running FEMA. No,
right.
This is a real doctor who was part of the reason on some of the days where he's not at the White House is because he's actually doing his real job, which is staying out in front of this thing and putting together plans and talking to people and doing things. He has other things to do besides talk to people at the White House. But because this is such a big thing, he goes to the White House and talks to us and informs the president and everyone else so that we can get this thing in order and hopefully get back to a normal life sooner than later.
And so Congress did pass the stimulus package. So everybody's going to get some money.
Yay.
I have some issues with it, but I think for the most part, it's good for the American people, with the exception of I'm really sick and tired of taxpayers bailing out major corporations that don't pay taxes. Cruise lines. This is crazy. I guess I didn't know this and until this came out, until now.
Mm-hmm.
Most cruise lines are not registered companies in the United States.
Yes. I was about to go off about that.
But yet, the United States government is putting up money. They don't pay zero. And the reason they're not licensed in the United States is because they don't have to pay taxes in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we giving them money to bail them out?
It's ridiculous, man. And the only thing I can think about it is there's a paper trail going somewhere. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but I'm willing to bet that the people voting for this probably have money staked into those companies. That's the only thing. That's the only reason I could think why Americans would want to give non-American companies money.
We bailed out Boeing, which is a manufacturer of airlines.
Mm-hmm.
They don't pay any taxes, and we were bailing them out to the tune of like $600 million. It's ridiculous. We're bailing out the airline industry, who takes all of their cash flow. For people who don't know business, cash flow is what you have after you pay your bills.
Right.
After everything is paid, we have $1 million left over.
Right.
Or $300 million left over. They're taking that money,
mm-hmm.
buying back their own stock, which inflates the price of the stock.
Yep.
And gives these CEOs $20 million bonuses. And we're bailing them out. They don't pay any taxes.
Right.
Because the way that our corporate, because we don't charge big business for taxes.
So in
but
plain,
the money's coming out of the money that you pay in taxes is now paying to bail out these billion-dollar companies who need money.
So in plain English, if you guys still don't understand that, so basically, I am a big airline, right? And so at the end of the day, I spent $500 million, but I made $600 million, right? So at the end of the month, I only profited $100 million. Okay. Now with that $100 million that I profited, I normally use that money to buy stock in myself so that my value continues to rise, or at a minimum, stay where it's at. So I'm either going to stay level or I'm going to keep growing, right? So that means when the average working person wants to go buy stock and it's $350 a share, part of the reason the share price never comes down or continually goes up is because I keep using all my money to put back into my company to keep the price of it going up. Now, from a business standpoint, that makes absolute sense. Here's the problem. In a time like now, where obviously these people have been hit with like an immediate recession, all of a sudden business has stopped. They're not making any money. So now, me, this big company who used to make $100 million a month, I now go to the government and I'm saying, hey, I need you to bail me out. So they say, okay, here's $600 million. Now, with that $600 million, instead of me using that money to pay my employees, to take care of the people who have basically built my company, the people who run my airline, the stewardesses, the pilots, the flight attendants, the baggage handlers, all those people who are now at home struggling, hoping to get their $1,000 check or whatever it is from the government at this point, $1,200. Instead of me using that money to help them, I'm going to use that money to buy stocks so that my value in my company stays the same.
So you inflate the value of your
I'm inflating I'm basically, the value of my company has literally dropped because nobody is flying. But I'm using this money to make it appear as if the value is exactly the same by keeping the dollar amount where it's at, right?
So this came out yesterday, right? And this is such a scam to me for airlines. My son, who will be 21 on Easter Sunday, was coming out to Vegas with his girlfriend. Her birthday's the day after his. They're both going to be 21. They were just going to come out and do the Vegas thing, crash at Dad's house. And
all right.
They were going to buy tickets originally for May because that's when they could both get time off work.
Right.
And once everything got shut down, they were looking up tickets. They're $100 a piece, round trip from Minneapolis to Vegas and back.
Wow.
They made this announcement yesterday. The tickets went to $150 a piece.
Yeah.
Right? Like, see, you just took billions of dollars in taxpayer money,
right,
to get bailed out, and the first thing you do is rape the taxpayer again.
Exactly. See,
and the price went up 50% as soon as they made the announcement.
And this is what I keep telling people. Look at how your job is treating you right now. Look at how the places you shop are treating you right now. Look at all the places you spend money. Look at how they're treating you right now. Now, granted, everybody's hurting. Everybody is making some tough decisions. But some people's decisions are very self-centered, right? You have to look at those companies. There's nothing that a lot of us can do about the situation that we're in. Me personally, I've never put a whole bunch of faith in companies, even companies that I work for. I'm glad I'm there. I do my job. I don't disrespect the company. Any of you follow me on social media? Most of y'all who don't know where I work, y'all don't know where I work because I don't post it on social media. I don't talk about my job. I keep my job and my personal life very separate as far as social media goes. But even now, even though most of them have been forced to shut down and forced to close, some of them are doing a lot better with dealing with the people they work with than others. There are some companies where it's like, man, when this is over with, I wouldn't even want to go back there. Then there are some companies where it's like, you know what? At least they're trying. At least they're reaching out. At least they're making an effort, you know, to make sure that I'm okay. At least they're acting like they care in some way, shape, or form. So there's two different companies kind of, you know, floating around out there, and it's also with people. Look, beyond people, beyond money, beyond businesses. Look at your neighbor. When the last time you called and checked on somebody? Is your family okay? You called your mom. Make sure she good. Make sure she got food, toilet paper, towels, and everything. Is the toilet paper epidemic over? Or are we still fighting people for toilet paper now? Does anybody know?
There's been toilet paper. I mean, it seems. I was at
are we done
Walmart yesterday.
It's blank. There's not a lot.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
But I
Okay.
went yesterday to CVS, and there was a few rolls of toilet paper, or a few packs of toilet paper and paper towels for $14 for paper towels.
Okay.
Which is a ridiculous price. But
How many paper towels were you getting?
it was like 6.
That seems
6
like a lot.
rolls for 14.
Well, CVS and Walgreens are really expensive.
They're expensive.
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah,
And this is the one on Paradise and Harmon near the strip.
Yeah.
So I grabbed,
Oh, so yeah,
I
you
grabbed
really-
a thing of paper towels and 2 rolls of 4, or 2 packs of 4 things of toilet paper. And I'm walking around. A lady that works there comes up to me, says,
Oh, I read the thing.
our house rules are you can only take 1 paper item. I'm like, so I'm thinking like I can't take 2 packs of toilet paper. I'm like,
Right,
okay, I'll put one down. She's like, no. I'm like, wait, I can't take paper towels and toilet paper. I'm like, they're for 2 totally different purposes.
What?
And she's arguing with me. No, that's the rules. I confirmed with my manager an hour ago. So, all right. So I put the paper towels down because there's a lot more paper towels than toilet paper. So I'm like, let me get this toilet paper. I grab a couple drinks and stuff like that. I go out. Another guy grabbed 2 rolls of toilet paper, goes and checks out. So I'm just there like, you don't say nothing to him. So I'm wearing a little mask. I'm looking like an Asian. We all made fun of the Asians for wearing masks all the time. Now we all wear them.
Right.
So anyways,
In Vegas, it's kind of like people who don't understand in Vegas. Like, there's a lot of Asian people who come to Vegas and wear masks
They wear
around
the
the
mask,
casino,
yeah.
and it's
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
like I don't want you to seem like you're racist or anything. It's
Yeah.
kind of a running
Yeah.
joke in Vegas about Asians wearing masks, and now
Yeah.
we're all trying to. Yeah,
so
Yeah.
I pay for my, 1 package of toilet paper and some of my food and stuff like that. I leave, put it in the trunk, take my mask off, put my hat on, zip up my jacket, go back in, and get my paper towels. But
And
I'm
this
like,
is-
how
yeah.
ridiculous are you? It's not like there was 50 people running around the store looking for it. Nobody was
Yeah.
really in there.
the problem is
And
they
I'm like,
should've-
I'm not wiping my butt with paper towels. So these are 2 totally different.
Yeah.
They should have been
Purposes.
limiting it weeks ago instead
Exactly.
of not like now.
Yeah.
The rush is kind of over,
Exactly.
right?
Because everybody has it.
Yeah, I had to change the battery in my car, so I went to Costco to return the battery cord to get my little refund, and there was nobody. I was like, "Where's everybody at?" And the guy's like, "I think people just finally come to their senses and realize like we're not going to run out of stuff unless
Yeah.
you keep buying it all."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I went to Walmart yesterday. I only went in to get 1 item, but when I was going around, I was like, "Oh, they got hamburger. I'm gonna buy some hamburgers."
Yeah.
Like there hadn't been any fresh meats in Walmart in
Yeah.
a week or so. So I was like,
Well, I don't think there's ever been fresh meat in Walmart.
that's another company, right? They did a $48 billion, either 46 or $48 billion stock buyback as soon as it
Wow.
started because they knew the stock was going to go through the roof. And the Walton family has got to be the scummiest family in America. Like they take advantage of. My friend LaDonna was talking to. See how I named the source?
Yeah. There you go.
She was at Walmart yesterday, also at a different Walmart, and she was talking to the lady. She was doing LaDonna works for FedEx, and she was doing a drop off.
Mhm.
And the lady told her she worked at Walmart for 12 years and never got a raise.
I believe it.
But that's on the lady too.
That's
though,
your
right?
fault. Don't work somewhere
Right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
where
yeah,
you're
yeah.
not ask for a
right.
raise or not quit and go.
Yeah,
You're not
Yeah.
making that much money at Walmart to stay there for 12 years without
right.
getting a raise.
That was
Yeah,
my
yeah.
point. I was like, why is she still there? There's no. If I don't get a raise every year, every 2 years max, I understand there's some economy issues once in a while, but most companies would be like, raises are on freeze for now, but we'll get you next
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of thing. I'm okay with that because I understand the economics of the situation.
And it's your money. It's up to you to go ask for that raise if they're not
Right,
just
Yeah.
applying it already.
right. Even casinos, dealers that make minimum wage get automatic raises every year.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not a lot, but you don't count on.
So, yeah.
You count on your tips anyway. You don't count on your hourly wage.
Right.
But
But
every
you're still expecting that number to go up.
right,
every
and
so
like once
often.
a year,
Yeah, yeah.
you actually look at your paycheck stub and you're like, oh, where'd that extra 50 cents or a
Yeah.
dollar come from, right?
Yeah. I ask most of my managers for a raise sometimes like every 2 or 3 months.
Yes.
Sometimes I just ask them to see what happened. I just be like, hey, it's been a while. Can we get a raise?
Unless
And,
I'm making
you know,
like
just
a
see what they say.
million,
Like,
unless I'm making $1 million a year, like I can't imagine a job that I wouldn't be asking for a raise every year.
you have to, man. I mean, it's how you make a living. It's how you move up. It's how you. A businessman kind of told me once. He was like, in the realm of business, the way you keep score is through money. So it's not necessarily about just fattening your bank account, but are you doing more? Are you doing better? Is the situation improving? If you work somewhere and you're doing your same job and you're trying, and you as a human should be bettering yourself. So in essence, you should kind of be getting better at the job you're doing. So if you're improving, shouldn't you be compensated more for your improvements? I would say yes.
I'm glad Carrie's on here today because she's giving a lot of stuff talking about. So Carrie said that there was a 17-year-old boy in California that has died from coronavirus, and he had no other issues. That's not true. They are not for sure that it was coronavirus that killed him. There's a CNN article from an hour ago that they're not really sure cause of death yet. So stop telling people that a healthy 17-year-old in Cal. See, Google. Like it's Walmart, Amazon, and Google run the world.
Well, and so many people just read the headlines.
Right. We talked about we had a whole
every
show about
story
this.
I see that's been put up, and they're going crazy because of the headline. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this! Like there was a hospital in New York where someone died, and so I click on it to read. First of all, it wasn't like a doctor that died; it was a hospital worker. But at the same time, this hospital has been complaining about, and the nurses and stuff are wearing trash bags because they ran out of
gowns,
PPE gear.
But they've been complaining about this for over a year because it's a dirty hospital. It's a hospital that will not put money into what they need. And so now that the coronavirus is here, obviously it's escalated, but you can't blame like the coronavirus
isn't the cause of the problem.
The cause of the problem is the hospital's a dirty place.
It just made the problem
and they
worse.
haven't been providing the essential tools for these people in the first place.
We talked about this a few weeks ago when.
But read the articles. That's my whole point.
Yeah, there was 4 guys there's 4 Republicans who were against the bill. But if you actually clicked on the link and read why they didn't sign the bill, it made it was the lynching bill.
Yeah, it was should lynching be considered a federal hate crime?
Right. And there was 4 Republican senators who voted against it. But when you read the story, like Gilbert out of Texas was like, I can't sentence a guy to death now because it's a federal crime.
Right.
The most you can get is 10 years.
Right.
Where in Texas, I can sentence this guy to death because of this, and it's if lynching is probably worthy of a death penalty in Texas.
Right.
And so you're like, whether you agree with the death penalty or not, you're like, that's a legitimate reason.
Right.
I had somebody posting the other day just ripping Democrats, and because Democrats stopped stimulus bill from being paid, and he's like, Democrats are the worst people in the world. You should never vote for a Democrat. I was like, did you click the link and read why?
At all. Nobody.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you click the link and read why?
Yeah,
because they're trying to they wanted the extra $600 a week for the unemployment, and they wanted to put conditions on corporate bailouts.
It was a 3-minute read, and you put this article up 30 seconds ago, and you already have an opinion on it. You did not read it.
Right.
Exactly. And that's the thing, because a lot of times the headline is actually the opposite of what the article says, but the headline is
it's called clickbaiting.
Right, it's to get you to read it, but apparently it's doing the opposite because people read the headline and they think that's the whole story.
Like if you actually read the story, you'd be like, "Wow, okay, I might get that." Right?
Because those 4 guys who didn't want the death penalty to be a federal crime. When I read the headline, I was like, who are these 4 idiots?
Right.
You know what I mean? I want to know who.
Right.
But on the stimulus bill, thank God there was a negotiation and going back and forth instead of just taking the very first thing they gave us.
Oh my gosh, God forbid that with 300 million lives on the line, with this coronavirus thing going the way it is, the Republicans throw up something. I don't care whose side you're on. You better hope somebody starts negotiating.
Right.
You do not want the first idea thrown out there to be what we get.
From politicians.
From a politician.
Right.
Exactly.
And the funny thing was, like, they were slamming Democrats, but the week before, Republicans stopped the bill from going through.
Right.
So like,
yeah.
I was like, oh, how 7 days just completely makes us forget everything. You know?
I'm happy that because look, it's not like the minute they sign this bill, we're gonna get a check the next day.
Right.
It's still gonna be about a month out, right?
Yeah, there
And
was
so-
so I read in the thing it said that like they were gonna try for like April 6th, but the Treasury Department was like, yeah, good luck with that. You're talking about 300 million checks in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's May 8th-ish is what they're kind of thinking.
And you know
now.
what? I think that's fine for a lot of people. There will be some people who that clearly is out of touch for, right? But I don't.
I mean,
think,
most people live check to check, month to month, so it's not going to be fine to miss a whole month.
But this is
of
but what I'm
zero
saying
money.
is that there are a lot of people. Look, I'm not saying that everybody's going to be okay because clearly right now a lot of people are not okay. But a lot of people do have unemployment. Some people are still working.
And there's a stipulation in the stimulus that adds $600 a week to unemployment.
Right.
Which is, there are going to be a lot of people right now for the next 4 months who make more money on unemployment than they were actually making. Like in Nevada, I think that the top off of unemployment is around like 470, 500, somewhere in there.
Something like that. Yeah.
You're going to add $600 a week on top of that. So now you're talking about people making $1,100, $1,200 a week. Like,
Yeah.
and I understand that like there's some issues with unemployment right now, and because you have to understand, like, there's only so many people that work in this building to begin with, right?
Yeah.
The state unemployment rate here was like 5%, 4.5%, 5%. Now it's like 33%.
Yeah.
So
I had to call them the other
they went
day.
6x on what they normally do. They didn't hire 6x more people to handle this. So you guys have to be patient with people and understand that I understand that you need money and that you have issues, right?
Right.
But at the same time, these people are doing the very best they can, trying to do 6 times the amount of work with the same amount of people that they were working with the day before this started.
And this is what I'm saying. So it's like you have all these people. So there are people who are supposed to get unemployment who simply are still just waiting in line, right? They're waiting on the callback still, right?
Right.
So there's so many issues, and not all of them will be solved. And this is like the second problem besides the disease is like you start going into like the economy, not just the economy of America, but just people's personal economy. You know what I mean? Just having enough money to pay your bills, having enough money to get something to eat. So keep in mind, and I don't know if this will help anybody, but I hope it does. If you miss 1 month of rent, your landlord cannot evict you right away. Meaning if you don't have your money on the 1st, which is 4 or 5 days from now, right? He can't just come to your house and be like, okay, you ain't got the money, get out. He's got like 30 to like 60 days or something before he can actually force you to leave. All right. So that means you're in your house for another month or at least 2 months. Even if you don't have the money, which I know is still stressful, just relax. You ain't going to be on the street yet. Okay. With food, there's a handful of food pantries still going on around town. I know in Las Vegas, I think we're down to like 4 food pantries right now. Our church is one of them. I know there's another one in Summerlin. Get online, try to find out where the food pantries
3
are.
Square in Nevada.
3 Square in Nevada. They can definitely help you out. We get our food from 3 Square. So there's still like places where you can get food. Food and shelter is the main things. The utilities will not be cut off during this time. So don't worry. If you don't have the money to pay your bills, the bill is still, from what I understand, is going to accumulate. If you owe $100 this month, at the end of this, you're going to still owe that money. But they won't cut your electricity off. They won't cut your gas off. They won't cut your water off. So you will survive. At worst case, you'll be in a worse financial situation than you were before. But being at home, you won't die. There's places for you to get food. The water still works. Hopefully, you got your internet paid. I don't know if they cut the internets off. Probably. But
Cox is not in Nevada. Cox is not in Nevada. And Envy Energy is in Nevada is not. Minnesota actually extended their quarantine till May 1st.
Yeah.
Not.
Can I play a clip real quick?
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
just popped up with Steph Curry actually interviewed on Instagram Live. Fauci, is that
Yeah, Dr. Fauci.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd like to get the people in the country to realize that we are dealing with a serious.
And real quick, Steph asked him about when can we start gathering large gatherings again, because obviously Steph Curry's in the NBA and they're talking about when they could start the NBA
I'd
season.
like to get the people in the country to realize that we are dealing with a serious problem. It's something that we've modified our lives. It's not convenient to lock yourself in. It's not convenient to not do the kinds of things. It's not convenient for you not to be playing basketball. But we're going through a period of time now where we've got to, as a country, pull together, don't get frightened, don't get intimidated, use the energy to be able to confront it and do the kinds of things that'll put an end to it. So I want to get rid of that misconception that there's extremes. Either the world's going to end or we don't want to do anything. It isn't that. It's somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
And like we talked about last week, just be considerate and nice to other people because everybody's going through something now. There's a place, an apartment complex here in Vegas called Sun Chase. And my friend John posted this online. He got it from a friend of his that stays in this apartment complex. This is the most insensitive bullshit I've ever seen in my life. And it's from it's at 3200 McLeod Drive. COVID-19 is terrible. However, it will pass. And in the meantime, big, huge block letters, rent is still due. As it is at every apartment building in Las Vegas. Owners of apartment buildings still have to pay their bills, including mortgages, water, sewage, garbage, insurance, property taxes, salaries, etc. All those are all can be pushed back and temporarily on hold. So this guy, whoever wrote this, male or female, is just being greedy because all you can defer your mortgage payments. No, banks are going to defer mortgage payments. Everybody understands what's going on.
Right.
If you have been laid off from your job due to the closures of non-essential business, there are still several places hiring. Grocery stores, Amazon, Walmart, Domino's Pizza, delivery drivers for food, etc. Worst case scenario, file unemployment and you receive checks from the Unemployment Commission. He gives the number to the unemployment office, the hours of the unemployment office. He gives the website. And additionally, the federal government is expected to be mailing out checks to everyone soon. Like, I don't wish harm on people, but I wish this guy's house would just burn to the ground. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, how do you... I actually want to drive by this place because I feel like this is, like, going to be a slumlord type place.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, something that's ran down. And I get it. And you and I were talking the other day, like, I'm paying my bills because eventually those bills are going to come due anyway. Right? Like, and you're going to have to pay them. So I'm trying to stay... with keeping myself some money in case I need it, still be diligent on my bills.
Ahead of the curve. You don't want to get so far behind that when this is over with, you're digging yourself out for the next 6 months.
I have all my kids on my cell phone bill. My cell phone bill is $400 a month. AT&T's not cutting me off, but I don't want a $1,200 or $1,600 bill at the end of this.
Exactly.
Now I got to try and figure out how to pay $1,200 or $1,600 instead of maybe $500 or $600.
Right. Yeah.
Jennifer asked a good question. She says, do you think this will help or hurt Trump's chances at re-election? I've been going back and forth in my head, like debating this with myself for a while.
Yeah.
A part of me thinks that his ineptness to deal with this situation and take it seriously, that even people who are diehard Trump fans might be like, you're going to kill us all. And then I see people on Facebook talk about, oh, I'm glad Fauci wasn't at this interview. He's an idiot.
Yeah.
And the other problem is that we're not hearing from Joe Biden. And it's the funny thing, too, is that all these people who were against Bernie Sanders and his socialism are gladly going to start taking these checks and this extra unemployment. And
I hate when people say that, though. There's a difference between dealing with the socialism right now in a time of crisis and dealing with that as a lifestyle forever. There's a big difference between Bernie's socialism and what's going on right now.
I get that, but nonetheless, you're still feeling the effects of socialism, and we don't know when that will stop. It could end up being a forever thing here. Then what do you do?
I mean,
it could be a 5-year thing. We have no idea. I mean, in my heart, I'd like to believe that by the end of May or June, that life's going to be back to as normal as it can be. Because we're never going to be absolutely normal again, though, right?
I read an article about this yesterday, and it was funny because me and Quan were going back and forth because I said something about 9 months and China kind of having good news and stuff after 4 months, right? We're going back and forth. So I was reading this thing because the first few doctors I said, they were kind of speculating. They were speculating, not about us being quarantined, but just dealing with this as a whole. Like, when will we ever get to the point where we can all hold hands and be close together again, right?
Right.
And a lot of them were like,
Kumbaya.
yeah, a lot of them were kind of like, it could be 8 or 9 months. It could be 2 years. We don't know. The virus will tell us, right? We have to see how it gets wrapped up, right? But the thing I was reading yesterday, and they were trying to give like an actual number, right? Instead of just giving you something, and they said, of course, this isn't a finite number. We don't know. This could all be better in a month. It could be 5 years, but they're saying that it could be like 18 months before we finally stop talking about coronavirus, in the sense that we stop talking about the flu, where it kind of comes up. It's flu season. Make sure you get your flu shot, but nobody's panicking about the flu. Every time someone sneezes, you're not worried about the flu. So they were saying it's about 18 months. So that doesn't mean we're going to be locked down for 18 months. You know what I mean?
Right.
It doesn't mean you know what I mean? Like, we could be locked down for 2 or 3 months, and then all of a sudden, okay, practice social distancing, wash your hands, hand sanitizer, so on and so forth, all of that. But we'll still be worried about it. The hospitals will still be treating it. They'll still be seeing cases and new cases from new people and so on for another year after that moment when we all go back outside again. So we don't necessarily nobody has a due date on when this will exactly be over. We just don't know. The virus will tell us.
My problem with China right now is they didn't start posting good news about the spread being slowed down until they kicked out all other media. There's no media out there. There's no American media. There's no other media besides the Chinese media that runs their whole country anyways.
Government media. Yeah.
And then once they kicked everyone out, a couple days later, they're starting to give good news. So I don't trust China a lot in what they say, and I hope it is. I hope it's getting better. I'm assuming it is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're also blaming a U.S. cyclist for the coronavirus now.
Yeah,
are they really?
I just saw an article today. I didn't click on it.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what the whole thing says, but that was the headline.
And I think that as far as like all of this, because this could clearly go on beyond the election and everything else, right? So
I think that's the greater problem, right, for the Americans. If this goes till November, I think it looks good for Trump to win a re-election. I thought he was going to win anyway because I just didn't feel like the Democrats had a candidate that could jump out there and just, as bad as he's handled this situation, I've only seen one interview from Joe Biden.
Yeah.
I saw one thing where Bernie Sanders was like donating some money to help something out.
And Biden's been having a lot of problems with the whole coronavirus thing because he loves rubbing up on people.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
6 feet.
Really,
what do you mean?
Really stopping him.
It's my niece, though. It's my granddaughter.
Really him down.
I need to kiss her on the lips.
This guy, man. But
that's why I feel like we love rah guys in America.
Right.
That's why we like certain types of coaches, right?
Right.
Bobby Knight was a rah guy. He gave these great interviews and he would throw chairs and that's Andrew Cuomo right now.
Right.
He's that rah guy that you feel like you could get behind and he's going to get something done.
Yeah.
Because he's going to stand there and scream. AOC, I see her name is AOC all the time and I can't think of her real name.
Alexandra
it's Cortez.
Cortez. Yeah.
She was a big rah person.
Yeah.
You know, she got New York and people rally behind her. Obama was a rah guy.
Yeah.
And I call them rah guys. The guys that, that just get the crowd pumped up and
excited. They're good at getting people excited. Good at pumping up the crowd.
And that's why I felt Democrats weren't going to win this year because we just don't have a rah guy, a guy who's going to make people just want to jump behind him. Biden wins if he gets Michelle Obama to be his vice president.
Probably. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because she's a rah person.
They'll put another Obama in the White House again with,
Right.
Yeah.
So, and it's something that.
Possibly, but then you're putting a black person in there and.
Black people will come out to vote for a black person. They're not going to.
They will.
They're not going to come out and vote for.
There's a lot of non-black people that would not vote just for that fact. So.
But I think that if you can get the majorities of blacks and Latinos to go and vote, then you have a much better chance.
And then if he does win, Biden would get assassinated quick because everybody really wants Michelle to be the president.
But we said that about Donald Trump, but the problem was that Pence is going to be the president, and nobody really wants that.
And
However, I will say this.
It is very hard to assassinate a president.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
For as much as I don't like Mike Pence's politics, he has been phenomenal at these press conferences.
Yeah.
He has been just, these are the facts. He's not making stuff up. He's answering questions intelligently. I've been so impressed by him, just his demeanor and the way he's kind of handled this situation. And even when he's come on, he's corrected Donald Trump a few times.
Yeah.
And he's just really been, honestly, he should be the president right now because he's the person that I think that could hold America together and be the guy who's presidential.
See, that's the thing that's Donald Trump's biggest issue is not being presidential. You know what I mean? And like, I have a big thing. So a lot of people even notice, like, I laugh at some jokes and whatnot, but I don't talk about the president a lot because I respect the office, right? I respect the office of the president. I may not like the person who's in that office, but I'm not going to disrespect him while he's in that office. Like, trust me, when Trump is no longer president, I might write a book on all the stuff I wanted to say while he was president. Like, it's that much stuff. But I'm just like, I respect that office because I'm not going to say that as much as I talk about, like, look, you can't name a president in the last 50 years that has benefited black people. And we can have that argument another day. But as much as I say that, I still respect the office because of what it is, what it stands for. I am an American. I was born here. I was raised here. More likely than not, I'm going to die here. This country ain't perfect. It ain't been all that great to people who look like me, but it is what it is. And right now, until we can fix those problems, I am an American, right? So I have to respect the office of the president. Now, the president that we have right now, I have really had to bite my tongue and not say some stuff when he's been on TV spouting off just some of the silliest things I've ever heard in my life. And it's like, dude,
he's that one up guy, right?
Yeah.
If you say I won $1 million, well, yeah, but I won 1.5 million. He's that one up guy.
I won not only did I win 1.5, I didn't pay taxes on it.
Right,
you know what I mean? I mean, and it's stuff like that. It's like, dude, right now is not the time for you to talk about how much the media hates you. Nobody really cares about you right now.
Oh, the guy
We're
from
trying
CNN
to not die.
last week threw him a layup and he blew it.
Dude, he was like
the greatest alley-oop of all time.
He was like, look, the coronavirus, the COVID-19 is going around. Coronavirus has people in their homes scared. What do you want to say to the American people who are at home scared right now?
The answer should have been,
oh my gosh.
The answer should have been, we have some of the best people in the world working on this.
Oh my God.
We know this is going to be a slow process, but we're here with you. We're going to work out a stimulus plan. Like, there were just basic,
he could have said we are working on it. He could have said, look, if he was that, if he didn't want to answer, he could have just said, next question, please. I mean, he could have said anything except what he said. It was like, dude, honestly, like, I had no fear in our country because this is America. And even though we kind of fumbled the ball a little bit and this has gotten more out of hand than we wanted, it's happened, whatever, we're here. But this is America and we're going to overcome, right? Best country in the world. We have the best. We can pay for whatever we need to pay for to fix this thing, right? When he snapped like that, my first thought was he knows something he's not telling and he's nervous. And I got scared. Like, honestly,
he reminded you of like a 15-year-old kid who's going through puberty and has no control over his emotions. Kamaria, who's been on the show before with us, she says that Pence is only phenomenal because of the contrast to Trump. And anybody's going to look phenomenal. John is on here. He says that it's going to be a year or two before Vegas can recover from this, if not longer. I 100% believe that. But I also, as bad, I think Vegas is going to get hit. Our entire state is mining and tourism. Like, that's it. We have nothing else here. But there are other places like Orlando. It's going to be a long time before people start going to Disneyland and Disney World. Yeah. New York City, you couldn't get, like, a year from now, 2 years from now, I'm not going to New York City.
Scratch that off your bucket list, folks.
I mean, you're talking about 12,000 cases already. By the time this is over, I got to believe they're going to be in the hundreds of thousands because it's just going too fast.
And keep in mind, the reason why the numbers are rising is because we're just starting to get more and more tests in, and there are fewer people going to the hospital, but they now have the equipment to test them, so the numbers are starting to rise. A lot of people are being found negative, contrary to popular belief.
There's a lot.
I believe the majority of something around 3 to 5% of the actual tests that are given are coming back positive, which is about what the numbers were when the disease first came out, was that it had like a 3% mortality rate or something like that. But only 3% of, so 3 to 5 out of 100 people who take the test come back and actually have the disease.
Brian seems to think that the Raiders are going to help us. I disagree with that. I was at the Love Affair concert, it's an old school R&B concert on February 8th. It's put on by Jammin' 105.7 here in Las Vegas. Napoleon Hill and 3 or 4 Raiders cheerleaders came out. Mm-hmm. They got booed off stage. I think that most people in Vegas don't are about whether or not there are some Raiders fans here who are going to be diehard, and there are people who are going to be just happy because there's football here and it's something, and they're football fans. But I don't think Vegas is excited about the Raiders.
I think that people think what happened with the Golden Knights is going to happen with the Raiders, as in they're going to show up and get love from everybody. I think that Vegas never had a team. And Quan, you can talk about this too, because you born and raised here. Vegas never had a team. So our first professional team is a hockey team.
And they're always going to be number one here.
Right.
No matter baseball, football, the Knights will always be number one in Vegas because of their Vegas born.
Right.
Do you disagree with that, Quan? You're the sports guy.
What?
I said the Knights will always be number one in Vegas. No matter, you think the Raiders will be overcome?
It could. Yeah. I mean, the Knights for some people will always be number one, but overall, I mean, Vegas is a very who's hot now city. So
I think
if Knights have 5 bad years where they're not making the playoffs and Raiders are making the playoffs every year, it'll be a different story. If you was the hottest thing in the world in the 90s, 80s and 90s, and now, you can sit anywhere you want. You pay for a $10 ticket up top.
There's a difference between college sports and pro sport. Like in Minnesota, the Vikings are always number one. It doesn't matter how bad they are and how good the Twins are.
Yeah.
The Twins are always going to be number 2.
Yeah.
You go to towns like Knicks are always going to be Yankees are always going to be number 1 in New York.
It's like in St. Louis, yeah.
Right.
Cardinals are always number 1, even when the
Cardinals
Rams
fans
were
are
there,
the best. Yeah, even when the Rams were winning Super Bowls, the Cardinals were number 1.
Cardinals are number 1. When the Rams were winning, I mean, they were selling out, of course, but the Cardinals were still number 1. And then when the Rams were losing, nobody was there. When the Cardinals are losing, it's still packed. Right. Yeah.
I feel like in Nashville, I don't know if hockey's number 1 down there, football, but there are places where
every city has
that team is just going to be number 1.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Somebody's like, well, Vegas has weed. Well, 14 states have weed now, and probably by the time this is all over, weed will be federally legal because people and our prices for tourists here are high.
Yeah.
You get a lot of tourists that come here. I feel like you drive Lyft. Do you feel like the amount of people you take to dispensaries has kind of slowed off a little bit?
No.
You don't think so? I feel like
I'm a salesman. I convince people to go that might not want to go or might not be thinking about going.
Chris Stevens also made a very good point about our Las Vegas Knights. 1 October. They started playing 7 days after the 1 October.
That was huge.
And they endeared themselves to the city with the amount of money they donated. They did an entire year of bringing out first responders and doctors and police officers and showing them love. That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Maybe the Raiders can jump on this bandwagon if we have a football season this year.
And that's the thing that I see with the Raiders is the Raiders already have fans, right? Most people already have their football team, so it's not like a new team.
Right.
This
I'm
is
a Vikings fan.
Right.
I'm never going to be I'm a Vikings fan.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. So there's a lot of people in football because this team already exists. So people already have their teams. It's not a new team.
And Vegas is very transient. A lot of people.
Right. So I think that on Sundays or on the weekends, of course, there will always be people when the Raiders play whoever. There's going to be people who come from other cities to see their team play against the Raiders in Las Vegas, just like what we have with hockey. A lot of people come from all over the country, all over the world to see other teams play because the game is in Vegas. However, I don't think that impact will be as big as hockey, simply because, and this is as far as like the economy, because hockey has multiple games throughout the week. Football only has one.
Right.
a lot of the fans, the price of the seats, football seats. I don't. Just from what I've heard from like people getting PSLs and stuff, football games are more expensive.
Yeah.
Right. So seats cost more. So you're not going to have the average person who can,
Knights tickets are getting up there, but that's because they're a winning organization, and
of course, right.
They were the best team in the NHL before this happened.
Right. So I mean, but you're going to have like the guy who could book a room at Flamingo, for pretty cheap, book his flight on Southwest for pretty cheap, and then come to a hockey game and maybe spend $50 to $100 more than he would at a hockey game in his hometown. He can still do that in a hockey game here.
Right. Coming
to see a Raiders game, it's not just going to be $100 more for his football game. You know what I mean? It's for a football ticket. I'm pretty sure. I mean, unless they giving out deals because the economy's so bad at that point.
Problem is, all the PSLs are already sold. So
yeah, exactly. So
how are you? What are you going to do?
This thing is going to be so. These football seats are going to be so expensive. It's a whole different market of people that you're marketing to come to these games.
Brian is trying to make the argument that when the Vikings come out, buy a ticket. Great. The Vikings will be here once every 4 to 6 years.
Right.
So once every 4 to 6 years, I'll buy a ticket. I mean, and then
right.
There's already a lot of Raider fans out here. Plus, we're closer to LA than Oakland is, and Raiders are still LA's team.
Yeah.
There's more Raider fans than Ram fans or Charger fans combined.
That makes
so. There's going to be more LA people coming out here. They already come out here every weekend anyway.
Right.
So there's going to be a lot more LA Raider fans coming out here.
But I think
there's already a lot of Vegas Raider fans, or fans in Vegas that are Raider fans, and then you'll get the people that are just Vegas diehards. Like, I'm going to go because I'm a 49er fan, but they're going to be my second favorite team because it's Vegas.
Right.
And they don't care if you have fans or not. They're going to sell out every game.
Well, the casinos buy all the tickets anyway. They're going to give there's.
I mean, it's a show on the Strip though. If the O show sells out every weekend, the Raiders are going to sell out every weekend. So it's a show on the Strip.
And that's what that's the thing that I'm hoping for, is that it still sells out and that people still have money. That this all depends on.
People won't have money because they're buying Raider tickets.
Well, of course, but they need money to buy Raider tickets.
That's the problem.
That's the thing is they won't have it once they buy the tickets.
We hope that the economy
people
picks
are saving
up
up their stimulus money to buy Raider tickets.
We hope that the economy picks up enough, obviously, for people to be able to travel and come back to the city. Like, that could make a huge impact. You know what I mean? It's not like they're already here, so it's not like they're just going to be like, "Oh, we're canceling games because people can't afford to come."
Are they still? Is the stadium?
Yeah.
Are they still working on it?
Construction is still going around.
Construction is still going.
So people are going to walk out of their houses in 2 months, and the city's going to look different because all the roads are still being done.
Right.
Yeah.
The stadium's being done.
This is a great time for construction in the city, right?
Yeah.
Because
except somebody down there did get.
Somebody tested positive
Corona.
at the stadium. One of the construction workers had.
One of the construction workers at Resort World got it. So they shut down certain areas where they were.
Yeah.
So that type of stuff's going to slow it down.
Yeah. But I don't think the construction will stop. I still think, I've said this from the beginning, the people who were like, "Oh, it's taking forever. I don't see anything. It's not going to be done on time." And then it seemed like a month later, we got a black building that just came out of nowhere. I mean,
feel like every day I would drive by that building and I'd be like, "Damn, where'd that come from?"
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I never for once thought that it would be delayed, and I still don't now. I don't think that it's going to be late. I think it's going to be built on time.
We talked about this before. In Vegas, it's amazing how fast construction goes up.
Yeah.
I was driving by Resorts World one day, which is a new casino they're building here in Vegas. Opens in 2021. But I was like, where the hell did that parking garage come from? Like, I swear, as God is my witness, it was not there the day before, and it's 6 floors. I was like, what the hell? Like, where? Like, seriously, this was not here yesterday.
It was a whole in between our houses. A whole neighborhood went up, I feel like, in a week.
Oh, it was crazy. Like, there was 5 houses there forever.
Yeah.
And then one day there was like 25. And I was like, where in the world is might be a good time to buy a house. There's a sign outside that development that says selling house now, high 200s. I'm willing to bet 6 months from now there'll be really low 200s or high 100s.
Yeah.
Because people just aren't going to be buying.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, and that's the thing, is like, with all of this, man, it's a whole bunch going on. It's a lot of stuff that you can choose to be like scared of or afraid of, but don't. Like, we've gone through worse. Trust me. Like there have been more things you just didn't know about going on in this country. Now you're just aware of it because you got Twitter and you got Facebook and you're only reading headlines. So you're terrified. Don't
Just
be.
read the story.
Yeah. Read the
Read
whole
the
story.
story.
You'll find out, you know what?
Whether you're
This is-
Republican
yeah.
or Democrat, the story about the lynching, like,
Yeah.
I'm fairly liberal, but I agree with the 4 conservative guys
Yeah.
whom, that were like, no, I'm not
Yeah.
voting for this. Why? I was like, those are really legitimate reasons. If
Yeah.
you had read why the Democrats pushed the bill back and didn't sign it right away, you were like, I get that. As a taxpayer, I don't want to give
Right.
American Airlines $300 million or $3 billion, whatever the number is.
Exactly. So I mean, there's always going to be stuff going on. And right now, it's just so much to speculate about. Pay attention. I mean, even if you trust somebody, I mean, look, your parents probably love you more than anybody on this earth. But I guarantee you, there's something that they taught you, 1 or 2 things growing up, and then when you got old, you was like, that was stupid. Why did my mom teach me that? And the thing is that was the best she knew, or that was the best he knew. Your parents, right? The same thing with the news. I don't think that all these news reporters are out with an agenda and everybody's trying to kill you and people just all want you to die. A lot of them have jobs. They have to report certain types of stories. They have to put out clickbait because they have to get people to click it and read the story and share it to know what's going on. That's how they get paid. That's how they measure the strength of the story that they wrote. That's how a lot of these people keep their jobs. So they put these crazy headlines out there for you to click it and read it. The thing is, y'all just sharing it and going off the headline. Click it, read it, and you'll see most of the time it ain't as bad as you think it is. Or a lot of times, it's not even related to what you think it is. Sometimes it's the total opposite of what the headline says.
I'm glad you brought up parents because I want to get this will be our last story. We'll get out of here. This one is just funny to me because just the audacity. You brought up parents, and the headline on this, I've actually clicked this story. I have watched this guy interviewed on CNN and Fox News. He sticks to his story. There's a guy by the name of Dan Patrick, not the guy that does sports. He's lieutenant governor of Texas. He wants the economy back open and open now. And he feels that older people are at risk from coronavirus. And if you're a good grandparent, you're okay with dying so your grandchildren can have a good economy in the future.
Oh, my gosh.
Lieutenant governor of Texas, like, I don't even like this.
Bruh.
Look, I've never seen
I mean, Texas and Florida need to be cut off the map.
They want that too much anyway.
They need to be their own little countries.
They want that anyway.
Oh my gosh, man. Like, think about this. This man is saying, like, your grandparents will sacrifice for the grandchildren so they can inherit a better economy. My goodness, this ain't gonna last like 500 years. I mean, goodness, in 15, 20 years, we're going to be on our 4th different economy. Like, it doesn't even matter. We'll be on 12 different economies by the time these grandkids are older. Oh my God.
I just think, I mean, you have to sacrifice yourself, he says. I mean, this is just.
Gosh. Just go off and die. Just take them out the pasture.
Let's not even give them coronavirus, right? Let's just line them up like this is Auschwitz and just kill them all.
Oh my gosh. What is wrong with people, man? Like, that's how important money is to people, though. You see what I'm saying? Like that's the sickening part of money. Like, they're so worried about money. And this guy has enough money that he's straight.
Hey, and he's a grandparent, so he understands. He said, so I feel like we should just make him the first one, right? You have to lead by example.
You gonna sacrifice yourself, bro? Like, come on, man. Like,
I love my grandmother, and there's just like I can't even imagine asking somebody to do that.
Well,
right?
and I hate the whole response of the coronavirus. Oh, it only affects elderly and people with underlying conditions. We all know elderly people and people with underlying conditions that aren't fully healthy. So that whole excuse of why I don't have to be too safe is stupid.
Yeah.
I have elderly people at home, and that's why I have barely went home the last couple of weeks. I go take a shower, get something to eat, and I'm right back at the studio because that's what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about me getting it myself. But for people that be so ignorant about that, it's like you're being selfish.
Yeah.
Just a very selfish thing.
Yeah. and we got to get past that. Think about other people. It ain't about you.
No, it's not.
It ain't
We're
about
talking
you.
about the world. We're not
Jerk.
talking- Yeah, the world does not revolve around you as much as people think it does. It's just
Yeah.
if I hear, but why do I have to? I know if somebody went on a date the other night, and I was like, seriously? First of all, where did you go?
Yeah, nothing is open.
Did you go to Taco? Did you go to Roberto's and get a burrito?
Just took it through the drive-through.
It's
Yeah,
actually
Like-
a good time to go on a first date because it's going to be cheap. So you know if it's not a good date, like I only wasted $10 on a number 3, and you got the excuse because hey, nothing else is open, baby. But
Yeah,
if you want to go out with me, hey,
Man, they just think about this though. This is the first time I think in history that the box office recorded 0 earnings.
Wow.
Yeah, so because most movies that were supposed to be released are being pushed back to be released later. Some got released and then they took him out of the theaters before everything was just shut down
there's some
anyway.
they started putting out on
And
video
then
right
some,
away.
yeah,
you could
just
buy.
going
But they're for
straight
like
to
They were out for a
video.
couple weeks.
$20. Like the Invisible Man is on. Like you can rent it, but it's like $20 to rent it.
Yeah,
I feel like if you were at like $9.95, you get a lot more rentals, right?
And
Yeah, of
I
course,
used to
yeah.
hack all the time back in the day. I don't do that anymore because I run a business. I wouldn't want people. But back in the day when I didn't have money, yeah, I would download movies illegally.
Yeah.
When I see something being oversold, I have no problem hacking it.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Because you're trying to hack my life.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
So, yeah, if I saw that, I'm just going to go downloading illegally then.
yeah, they charging way too much for a rental. I mean, it's
Uh, yeah, I don't even get. My son, I was talking to him about. He went and saw The Invisible Man in theater, and he was gonna rent it because he was telling his mom how good it was, and she wanted to see it. But he's
Yeah.
like, I'm not paying $20 to rent it when I know I'm gonna buy it on DVD when it comes out, and
Right.
pay another $20 on DVD for it.
right.
So he's like, it just doesn't make any sense.
It's stupid.
The Olympics were canceled.
Yep.
Big heartbreaker for me. I'm a big
Postponed.
Olympic guy. Postponed till 2021 maybe. I feel bad for all the Olympians. You work so hard
Yeah.
to get to a lot of Olympic sports.
Hmm.
The Olympics is all there is, right?
Yeah.
Archery it's the biggest event in the world.
Yeah.
We think like a lot of the events we think about, like basketball, like those guys are going to go back to their respective leagues in their countries and play basketball and make money.
right.
I don't feel as bad for those guys, especially because most of them make millions and millions of dollars.
yeah.
But when you think about people like the shooters, the air pellet
Yeah.
shooters, the archers,
You
the
see these
ping
guys-
pong players,
It's a sport. I don't even know what it's
Badminton.
called, but they like ski somewhere and then they got to run through the snow and then at the end they got to shoot something.
yeah.
I'm like, I don't even
It's
know.
a triathlon, the winter triathlon. Yeah,
Is that what? Okay,
Yeah.
and at the end they shoot.
yeah.
I was
Norwegian, no, yeah. It's like
yeah,
At first, it was funny because they were like, "Well, Canada and Australia is not going." I was like, "Well, Canada doesn't win summer gold medals anyway,"
right.
and Australia, I was like, "That's gonna suck," because the Australian American swimming rival
Mm-hmm.
is like
Yeah.
huge.
Right.
But then like Katie Ledecky was on ESPN last night talking about she can't even find a pool to swim in right now anyway. So like she can't,
Yeah.
even if they were going to be, she can't train.
I mean,
Well,
you got-
even with UFC 249 is still supposed to go on with Habib and
They're gonna do it-
Ferguson.
They're going to do it here at the facility. Though,
No,
where
they're not.
Oh, where they
That got all that got denied in Vegas.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, the athletic commission wasn't going to let that happen. So they're looking for somewhere else to do it. They still don't have a spot locked down. You can't really train anywhere because all the gyms are closed.
Mhm.
So you're still going to do the event. You're still going to do the fight, but these guys can't even train right now. So a
And-
lot of these people,
yeah.
you got to cut weight. How are you going to cut weight if
When you
there's
think-
nowhere
right.
to even go? So
Yeah.
Dana White still says it's going on. I'm not sure if it will, and I'm not sure what it's going to look like.
I feel
when
like it's
it
a
does.
bad idea though, because I feel like
Yeah.
when you can't train, you get hurt.
And the problem with it, I don't think he would be pushing this so hard if it wasn't Habib and Ferguson, because
Right.
it's already been canceled 4 different times. Someone's dropped out.
Yeah.
Ferguson one time tripped over a phone cord and hurt himself like a couple
Yeah.
days before the fight was supposed to happen. So it's all these freak things, and it was already, is this fight going to happen? All of a sudden, it's to the point where, no,
And-
Right.
it
and
might
Habib-
not. And so I think that's why he's trying to push this so hard. But honestly, I don't personally think it will when it's all said and done. It's going to be too hard. And I think the fighters will end up dropping out. Even if UFC says we're still going to do it, it's going to be in front of no fans. It's going to be somewhere in Iceland where they don't have it. I don't see it happening.
Habib said that if they don't have it booked and ready before Ramadan, he's not doing it because he's a Muslim and they fast that week.
Yeah.
So I mean, that makes sense. I mean, if he's basically it's hard to train already, and then you don't eat for a week, and then you just got to fight somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I don't think it's going to happen, but this is the thing. I think these are the sacrifices that we've been talking about. As much as we want to see basketball and fights and the Olympics and all these things for the safety of the world, it's better to be safe than sorry. I mean, you hear that all the time growing up. Better safe than sorry.
Well, and if we wait now, we'll be able to get that earlier.
Right.
If we don't,
exactly,
it's going to be a lot longer because things are going to be shut down a lot longer because we didn't deal with it in the first place. So,
as a fighter, I wouldn't want to fight when I couldn't train. And I'm sure they have some type of stuff in their own houses where they can do some of the stuff, but you can't go through a full.
You're not getting the full training.
Training.
Right. Yeah.
I just feel like you're going to be way too susceptible to injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah. Only in what was it, Rocky IV, can you go train in the,
And if they're not
in the
testing
desolate,
everybody that's going in to the octagon,
right,
to
make sure that they don't have
and
it.
that's the
these
thing,
are some of
right?
the dirtiest people. There's sweat and blood that you're everywhere.
Right.
You're coughing.
And then,
There's loogies. There's boogers everywhere on that mat. You're not cleaning the mat in between fights.
no. And where are you going to test them? Like you're going to test them 14 days before the fight, and then you have to hope that they self-isolated and did all the things that they were supposed to do up until that point.
Yeah, it's so much. Cancel it, man. I mean, like everybody's taking a blow. I mean, and that's the thing. I get it. You don't want to. Nobody wants the fight to be canceled, but nobody wants coronavirus. So
I'd rather see it postponed personally because I'd rather see it in front of fans and
that's
done
thing,
the right way.
It's
But
like,
yeah,
I don't know if he's come back on this, but Adam Silver was talking about maybe doing some basketball games just so people have something to watch, and having games in empty stadiums. I would watch just because I'm so starving for sports right now.
Yeah.
I would, but there's so much stuff that you could watch. I've watched so much UFC and old school NBA games recently.
Yeah.
Everyone has YouTube.
Right.
If you don't have ESPN Plus, it costs $5. You could see every Tyson fight. You could see a lot of Ali fights, Rocky Marciano fights. I mean, there's so much stuff you could watch. That one game really gonna satisfy us when we could just wait another month
and
just watch the old school games that you have not seen at every sporting game? And there's some fights that I'm watching like I don't even know who won this fight, so I'm watching it like it's new almost.
Yeah.
You know, there's
some
ways
like,
to do it, man. There's ways
you
to
don't
do it.
remember like how exciting boxing was in the 90s. You know what I mean? Like with Roy Jones running around in his prime, Oscar De La Hoya in his prime.
I mean,
you know
last night I
like,
watched Mayweather and Arturo Gatti again.
Yeah,
I hadn't seen that fight since it happened way back in the day.
Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward put together the three
fight.
greatest fights of all time.
Yeah,
like, seriously,
that's the best. I don't even if you just watch that fight, you could watch it again tomorrow. Like
those three fights were just absolutely
amazing. Like so,
I watched Spinks and Tyson.
Wow.
Ooh,
where Spinks was scared the whole time walking in there. I'm like, this dude
all
is
91
done.
seconds.
Yeah. But just seeing a grown man that scared of another grown man was great. And a lot of people haven't seen those fights.
A grown man that could probably knock out 90% of the grown men on this planet being terrified of another grown man.
Yeah.
ESPN right now is doing the thing because they don't have anything else to do, where they're comparing, like, where they're doing the tournament of greatest college basketball players of all time, where you vote. And this shows what a now society we are. Zion Williams played one season in the college basketball. And his first round, he was up against Danny Manning. Oh, and how in the world do you vote his college?
And this is college.
Right.
Okay.
Not NBA, college. Danny Manning was one of the greatest college basketball players of all time. Like he was okay in the pros, but in college at Kansas, my man, dude.
Well, people, it goes just to show like how short our memories are.
Well, a lot of these kids weren't born then. They don't. I feel like young Generation Z doesn't have any respect for history.
Yeah,
and I mean, it's not just sports history; it's just history in general. When you don't know history, it's really hard to make honest, educated decisions about things that are currently going on. when you don't know why. There are a lot of laws that are in place, and they do sound stupid. But when you understand the history to why that law was put there,
Right.
then you're like, even if I disagree with it, that makes sense, and I can understand why they do it.
Well, a big part of that is we've kind of grown up with this because I said so as an acceptable answer.
Right.
And one of the things that a lot of the younger generation is doing is they're going, no, I want to know why. So a lot of people feel like young people are more disrespectful because I said so is not acceptable, right? So you get athletes when they come into training camps in football. I remember specifically a couple of football coaches saying the gap between the old vets and these new guys coming in, these old vets, you say you're going to block X, then you're going to run here. And they say, yes, sir. These new guys, you tell them you're going to block here, you're going to block X, and then you're going to move here. And they go, well, why? I get the block, but why am I moving? They need an explanation. They need to know why. And the thing is, a lot of us, even our age, our generation, we grew up our whole lives not understanding stuff until we were 40 years old because our parents just said, because I said so. And that's something I know, me personally, there are sometimes, of course, with my kids, it's like, go clean your room. Why? Because I said so. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? But then there are sometimes where I do stop and I try to give my kids an explanation so they understand not just what they're doing, but why they're doing it.
I feel like when we were in school, we were taught a lot of stuff, like Columbus was.
Right. Yeah.
We were taught a lot of garbage.
He was great.
But on the other hand, though, we were taught the whys, though, then.
Yeah.
And I feel like in school, they don't teach the whys. And Common Core math is like the prime example of that.
Oh, God, yeah.
You know, I remember when my son was probably in 4th or 5th grade, I'm watching him do this math problem, and I'm like, why are you doing it like that? It was like something times something, and he's doing all the little squares. I'm like, it's just easier to go, 405 times 13, 3 times these 3 numbers.
Yeah.
Move the digit, move over 1 space, these 1 times these 3 numbers, whatever. And he looks at me, he goes, well, that's too easy. I'm like, well, yeah, it's the easy way to do this.
It's supposed to be easy. Yeah.
He goes, yeah, but my teacher says I have to do it like this. And I go and ask his math teacher, I'm like, why do they have to do it like this? And he just puts his hand on his forehead and he goes, because I have to. He goes, it's the worst thing in the world. He said, it makes no sense. It takes too much time and it's too long. And he's like, next year I'm going to teach English because I can't do this.
And that's the that's the difference. Even the way that things are taught in school are so much different. So when we're looking at this younger society, you have these kids now. Like when I saw these kids on Miami Beach who were just like, if I get corona, then I get corona. And then they find out like after the beach gets shut down that like a lot of them actually got the coronavirus, from being down there. As much as I want to blame these kids and be like they're stupid, I have to blame their teachers. I have to blame their parents. I have to blame the people who have direct influence over them and weren't able to teach them better. Like that's how our society works. Like it always bothers me when the younger generation is always blamed for being stupid or not knowing. And I always have to stop and think, because even when I get frustrated with them, I have to realize that, you know what? It's somebody that's probably around my age who didn't teach this person. You know what I'm saying? Like there's always going to be those defiant rebel idiots who are just out there. No matter how much you try to put into them, they just go through the dumbest thing possible.
They have so much more information at their fingertips than we did.
But they don't know how to use it.
We had to go to libraries and look up encyclopedias and check out books.
But see,
and I bet you, I'm curious to how many like Gen Z kids actually know how to get a book out of a library.
They probably don't. Nobody knows Dewey Decimal System. You know what I'm saying? Well, here's the thing.
I know my kids do because they used to go to library as kids and check out books, and you could get movies and DVDs and stuff at libraries.
Yeah.
So, but I'm curious to know like how many Gen Z people actually. How many libraries are still in existence?
It's a dinosaur like extinct technology now, man. Like it's like this, dude.
But
like
libraries are all computerized now, and
but it's like this, bro. The computer we had growing up was like this super slow thing when internet finally came about and they had to dial up and it would be like make all those noises and then finally call somebody like me growing through that and seeing how long it took to get on the internet. I now respect the fact that I have a computer that's 1,000,000 times more powerful in my pocket. These kids, they've never known that. It's like the other day, right? I was cooking and I thought like, man, how do people not know how to cook? Because I don't know how to write a recipe, but I know how to cook, right? And everybody who eats my food thinks it's great. So I'm pretty sure I'm a pretty good cook, right? But I thought like I know how to cook because I was around people who cooked. But also like growing up, I didn't have Uber Eats. There wasn't 15 fast food restaurants on every corner. It was like you had to cook, and it was cheaper to cook at home, and we didn't have a lot of money, so we had to learn how to cook. These kids never had to do that. It's so much they've always had the easy way out. But why would anybody learn how to cook? You know what I'm saying?
I agree with you 100% that they've always had the easy way out, and because you've always had the easy way out, that when it comes to work and life in general, they're still looking for the easy way out.
Yeah.
And that's what frustrates me the most, is that maybe I'm just that old guy, get off my lawn, but we always had to find a way.
Yeah.
They don't have to find a way. And that's what scares me about what's coming next.
Yeah.
Is the fact that they don't have to find a way. Like when things get broken around the house, I can find a way to put something together. Right. Like I see so many of these kids nowadays who they don't have a plan, so they freak out.
Yeah.
Or they've never had to deal with something. And when it comes to something that they're not used to or out of their comfort zone, which is really small to begin with,
yeah,
they freak out and they don't know how to. We grew up getting outside of our comfort zone.
Right.
Everything you were like, there was so much stuff we did growing up where it was figure it out for yourself.
Right.
You have to be outside your comfort zone and you have to learn something new.
Yeah.
Where this generation, they don't really have to do that. And that's what worries me about the future.
Yeah.
All right. This has been the extended version of Negro Please. Quan let us stay because really he doesn't have anything else to do either.
Quarantine lockdown, baby.
I'm Dallas Scott. That's Hollywood Huff. Quan, the producer. Don't forget to like us on all things social media at The Negro Please. And subscribe to our YouTube page. Thank you guys very much for hanging out today.